Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Apple Watch SE 2nd generation and see if this watch is still worth buying in 2023. Now, personally for me, I think this watch completely worth buying. Apple did a tremendous job with this watch back in the day, and I still think it's a very, very good watch for sure. Now, the starting price of this thing is $249. It does go up to $299. So, depending on which one you want, you can pay that much money for it if you want the GPS model or the cellular model. But that is a less of a gap than the GPS and cellular models of the other Apple Watches available. So I think that's a good thing. If you want to buy the Apple Watch SE2, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of the Apple Watch SE 2nd generation, this watch came out in two different sizes. It came out in a 40mm casing and a 44mm casing as well. So there's two different sizes here, and that's something that I've actually loved a lot about these watches. I think personally for me, this is a very good sized watch, and I think, it is more in line with something like the 45 and 41mm casings that Apple has made for the Series 8, rather than like the 38 and 42mm casings that were on like the Series 3, for example. So personally for me, even with my Apple Watch Series 4, it's pretty much the same design as the Apple Watch SE2, and I think this is still a very modern looking watch, and I think the SE2 looks very, very good as well, but the Series 8 does have less bezel, so keep that in mind. Now, on the sides, you have that standard aluminum side, frame. I will say the Series 8 and the Series 7 definitely feel more premium. They definitely feel like a more premium Apple Watch, but I think Apple did a great job with the Apple Watch SE2, and that's a really big thing that you're going on and that you're getting with the SE2 in that standpoint. The two buttons, the digital crown and the side button, still there, basically the same exact thing. Not much has changed with that, so that's basically always been the same thing. And on the back, you have the wireless charging pad. So you have the ability of basically plugging in and connecting your little charging puck on the back. So that's something that's really cool. You can wirelessly charge this device, which is a pretty big asset for this type of, Apple Watch as well. And that kind of covers it up on the Apple Watch portion. Now you do have the bands that you can kind of interchange. So this has always been something that I've always loved about these Apple Watches. So the bands, in my opinion, are phenomenal. They're probably the better bands or the best bands that you can buy on your Apple Watches. So if you're planning on buying some sort of Apple Watch SE or Apple Watch whatever, all these bands are going to be compatible with all the other Apple Watches. So if you get the smaller model or the bigger model of those watches, they're going to be compatible. And that is a beautiful thing. Anytime I get any Apple Watch, I love the ability of just taking my old existing bands and plugging them in and basically plugging and play with my newer bands or newer Apple Watches. So thumbs up for me from that perspective. I hope all the other phone manufacturers and watch manufacturers end up keeping it the same way, because it is just the most phenomenal thing in the world. I love it so much. Now that kind of covers it up on the outside. A few little takeaways. One, there's no IP resistance at all, which could be kind of a disadvantage for some people, but that's one thing I've kind of had to see here. The Retina displays, up to 1000 nits, which is pretty nice. You are getting 50-meter water resistance. So they're technically swim-proof, which is a cool thing. And you're still getting lots of features built in that we'll get in a second. But overall, I definitely do think this watch pretty durable for the most part. And for an Apple Watch SE, they did a pretty good job here. Now, on top of that, the capability behind these Apple Watches. You can just do anything you want to with them. The main thing I typically use my Apple Watches for are checking notifications, taking phone calls, checking messages. If people are DMing me on Instagram or Snapchat or something, being able to see everything at a glance is awesome. Personally, for me, whenever I've had to go through and I don't carry my Apple Watch with me, it is honestly a very weird experience. So I like having that ability of having my Apple Watch right there, because I can just check everything. Even when I'm running, I can just download music onto my Apple Watch from Spotify. I can just go on a run, connect my headphones to my Apple Watch and run like that. It is so beautiful. It's no frills, nothing crazy. It just works how it should. And that's something I appreciate so much about that Apple Watch. Now, another big thing about these watches is that you do have a lot of features built in. So for one, you have high and low rate heart notifications. You have irregular rhythm notifications. You have cycle tracking. You have emergency SOS. You have fall detection, crash detection. You have so many things built in. And that's something that I've always loved about these Apple Watches. And the battery life is also pretty good inside of the Apple Watch SE2 as well. So what I can definitely tell you is that the Apple Watch SE 2nd generation, I think, is completely worth buying. There are clearly some better watches than this thing in this day and age. I probably think the Apple Watch Series 7 is a better Apple Watch than this. The Series 8 is definitely a better watch than this thing, clearly. And the Apple Watch Ultra is probably the best Apple Watch you can buy, but it's so bulky and big, I don't think it's good for the average person. I think the Apple Watch SE2 is good for the average person. I think this watch is the one I would recommend a majority of people to buy. It makes the most amount of sense to me, and if you're in the market, like I said, this is probably the one that makes the most amount of sense for the average person. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.